Hello everyone. I've been paying attention today and thinking about USDT, and I thought that perhaps could be a good idea to explain why it is so important in relation to BTC, and an extension to the whole market. Um, First of all, I've said quite a few times, or perhaps for new followers, they weren't here when I posted that BTC and USDT are dominance are inversely correlated. So that's why when we saw spotted this bottom here in September or here in April, more recently, right? It was the bullish divergence for BTC. It was also bearish divergence USDT and another deviation from this range, right? I can only spot the bullish divergence here, but not any kind of deviation of any range here for BTC, right? So I have to apply the potential bottom at the previous top. That's the first sign that it's not just an inversed correlation, because you could say, okay, if it's inversely correlated, you could say that yes, BTC is printing a bullish divergence, so there must be a bearish divergence here, right? And that is the case for now. So, well, if it's very overheated here, BTC should be very oversold, exactly. So you might ask that why do I need USDT? I mean, if I say one, I can just guess the other, right? But the thing is, when BTC entered in price discovery and reached the previous all-time high now, we didn't know this would be the top. We had this potential double top with the weakness building and the Fibonacci extension that I have shown in other videos, right? But we didn't have any more reference. However, the good thing about comparing it to USDT is that since when BTC is in an uptrend, USDT is in a downtrend. So when it's in a downtrend, we have some levels that could be reference, right? So by the time it got here, yes, we saw the bullish divergence the same way we saw the bearish divergence here, and the potential double top for BTC, but this was price discovery. We didn't have any more reference beyond the Fibonacci level. However, USDT had reached a very high time frame support level. So this is a very important area to confirm that this could be the top, right? At least locally. We didn't know for how long back then, but it was the top pretty much in March 24. It was the top, the dead cat bounce in 2022 was resistance before, so it's an important level, right? The question is, what about now, right? What I see now is BTC is resting for now, correcting a little bit above, slightly above after breaking all-time high, and now it's slightly below the previous all-time high. So we are guessing if this is just price acceptance, blah, 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 but we have the reference that USDT has reached this kind of intermediate target. So that reinforces the idea of BTC stopping there. In fact, the first day it got here, the chopping was May 11th, more or less, May 10th. But we can see that despite that, BTC has been growing up a little bit. This also has to do with the market cap increasing for USDT. Remember that I have talked about that. But it is not unexpected to see such a stop here, BTC, right? When USDT is still holding this intermediate area. The thing is this a strong area for a reversal? Let's take a look. The last time USDT took a break, it was when the reversal was already happening. And it took just a break, right? It was the February, more or less, which was the 98K, 96K area that we said this was the upper range the BTC had created, right? And was around here. So losing this would open the door to a big drop. And back here, remember the Bollinger Bands were really, really tight, the daily. We had the expansion to the downside. I remember tracking that and posting that. that a big move was coming, but we didn't know the direction. We could have guessed, considering that USDT was in an uptrend and just taking a break. So this suggests just a pause in the trend continuation. If it's to the upside, it should be to the upside. Again, here it was a pause, and you can say that's a reversal, but this is just another trend. So if you can say it's a pause here after the reversal started. If we go back, a little pause before going up again, and just a little bit more chop here. So it doesn't feel like a really reversal point as 2022 dead cat bounce here, 2024 and Q4, right? So the thing is, we shouldn't forget that the USDT has been in this huge range for more than a year, right? With just slight deviations, bottom retest, and another deviation. So either this continues and makes BTC goes to price discovery, which, by the way, we can see, as I said in the weekly USDT, the thing that was worrying was that it was already getting quite reset, right? Which makes sense with BTC getting quite overheated, the overheated area, right? So if we are to see such a big drop, remember the time it dropped, it lost the range here. It was the bottom for BTC. It dropped the range while BTC bounced back up. So that was a key. That's why this range is so big for USDT. It couldn't break above decisively. It did just with weakness on the daily, right? So this was a fake out the same way it was here. That reinforced my idea of a fake out, right? So this could be a very divergence that points continuation, right? You can see it's different from this one. This is a regular reversal, hidden continuation. So we might think that we are entering the last impulse for BTC. So this is just perhaps another slow week that we have ahead, and then we push to the final target before reversing. So it's important because if we get here, no matter the price BTC is at, we might start thinking that together with oscillators and Fibonacci, that could be the local top. What if that is at Fibonacci 1.2, which is the 135K, something like that, even if it's just a week and closes below, something like that. Could be a week here and close above, but again, support area. People might say, what about an old season then? For now, as I said, I don't expect that. BTC dominance is correcting and resetting without going down too much, even though it's in the good way. So the same way with USDT, already quite reset on the weekly, as I said, getting to that reset area, right? So remember that here, when 2023 got the first leg, it got to a very overheated area, oversold area, little bounce, and then it continues. So it doesn't mean, again, as I said many times, that getting to the oversold or overheated area means instant reversal. But we might see if this is just a weekly cycle, and not the final drop, we might see USDT doing something like this. Testing these lows, making a lower high, and instead of just being still bracketed in this range, it just loses the range. And I said in a different video long ago that the moment the range breaks, no matter the direction, this would be a bear market, in my opinion. But here it would be like the last final impulse. How far down, I don't know. The next logical level by this chart is to 60 that would coincide perhaps with BTC going to the 1.6 Fibonacci, which is 193, something like that. And probably that's when we have the old season. So this could be the weekly cycle into a correction in summer and Q4. And that would be like a 4-year cycle, right? Perhaps by then the tariffs are way more clear. We have some cuts, perhaps in summer, that triggers or coincides with the correction. That's the narrative they use. Stock markets kind of slow moves in summer, something like that. Correction, BTC, alts bleeding. We found another bottom, and then we enter the price discovery. That could coincide with others on total 3, as I said. Will coincide with this weekly cycle breaking all-time high, the summer correction bringing it back here, or even this kind of range, and then bouncing into the final push euphoria in Q4. You can see the relationship why USDT is so important. We have previous levels to come down to once BTC is in price discovery, and that's something that, besides Fibonacci and oscillators and estimations, we wouldn't know where the top could be, but USDT would be really key. So if we see some kind of let's say it goes back here, but the RSI doesn't go that far, even if it's just a week, and we print another kind of a bullish divergence like we did here, right? Again, around this support area, then, and that's the weekly or the daily divergence on the BTC overheated, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that could be a sign for taking profit for now. So I wanted to explain why the relationship with USDT is so important, because we have levels, especially now the BTC is in price discovery. That helped me spot the potential local top back in mid-December, right? My main chart, which is this one for USDT, right? Let me just zoom out a little bit. This is my main chart, and this is when I said these levels were already printed, right? It was this yellow path was the original path I drew back in November, and I posted here that yes, this could be support, and it was twice. This was, and I said if the bull run is alive, lower high, this could be a potential path, right, for a huge run. I don't know if we will ever meet these kind of percentage levels, considering the USDT market cap, as we can see, is way higher than it was back then, right? At the moment we got here, look at the USDT market cap, 25 billion. Now 150. So yeah, it doesn't need such a big percentage wise drop for it to be huge. So even getting back here could be big for every market. And if we break below, this would be, in my opinion, this is too much. This would be the range, something perhaps like this, the range for the pure euphoria. So I will keep updating this, not only oscillators wise, because as I said, they are inversely correlated. So if one is overheated, the other is oversold, vice versa, but because of the potential levels for USDT. I hope that has been useful and helps you get an idea of what I expect for every market, right? And how it could all coincide and reinforce the idea of bottoms and tops, whether they are local or cycle. Okay, so that's it. I'll see you in the next market update. Bye.